Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, or good morning, or wherever you are. Just in time for the emergency vehicle showing up, I can hear. Well, I thought it was time to have a little chat because I'm sure I've neglected pretty much every one of my emails that you have sent me over the past few years. um, okay, so let's just take a hands up. Yeah, 38 people to begin with. That's got to be enough. I'm starting 5 minutes early because if I run out of coffee, then we're really screwed. Machine's going to join us in a little bit and talk about his event this weekend. But a lot of you have been asking for specific long episodes, and others have been asking about Project Riese. So I figure, well, I've been there so many times and I've done so many episodes from there. I've been to all of the Project Riese sites that if I pull out all the footage, then I'll have like a 10, 12-hour episode where we go through all of the Riese locations. Anybody want that? I'm just going to go for a yes or a no. Don't have to write hell no for no. But I figured, I mean, a lot of it is footage you've already seen, but if I put it all together in one Riese special, you have something to fall asleep to, which is what I would do, especially if I hear me talking. So, yeah, I do. I mean, I figure we could do a 12-hour special. I don't even know if they'll let me upload a 12-hour special. Somebody figure that out. Anyway, it'll be as long as I can make it. It'll probably take me a year to export it and similar time to upload it. And I figure if I can get it done in time for Thanksgiving weekend, for those of you who need an excuse to tell your spouses you don't want to go shopping because you want to look at old Nazi factories. Well, if you say it before Thanksgiving, that might change the conversation somewhat. However, I'm going to try to, thank you, Darcy. I'm going to try to see if I can get it done because I pulled out all the Riese specials, at least most of them, and I'm going to try to put them together so we just go from one location to the next, to the next, to the next. And also, it'll update everything that I have from one place. There's the one Sorbonne I've been to 3 different times and seen 3 different things and put that together in one, make life a little easier. So that'll always be, Tom, where are you, buddy? That way we can at least get the Riese thing out of the way. And we'll go back. And next weekend, we will have the special with Joseph P. Farrell and Igor Witkowski, which was really, really interesting. Hey, Ken, hey, Ken. It's really interesting because the two of them, obviously, Igor Witkowski is the one that broke the Glock story, and he wrote German Wonder Weapons. And let's just butcher all languages. I didn't sleep much last night. So anyway, they've never spoken. They chatted, they talked on email, they communicated, but Joseph and Igor were 2 of the most prolific writers and talkers you've seen. Also, if you do documentaries, TV show, History Channel, you've seen Igor talk about the henge and what he found and what he's there. But the 2 of them never actually spoke to each other. So I figured, well, I know both of them. They're all friends of mine. Why don't we do start having chats with them? So we did. And we recorded the first one, and I will release that for you Thanksgiving weekend because Lord knows you'll have nothing else to do. We're still the previous government, so we can't afford to go shopping. So we'll just watch that. There will be more. With Joseph and Igor coming up next year as well, because when they got started, that's just the kind of thing that doesn't stop. And there'll be another special with me and with Joseph and myself in December, following Igor's chat. So there'll be that coming up. And Tom set me up, guided me through the one of the underground relocations where they built Me-262s, and to place that. Tom, you weren't actually there before. You weren't there, were you? When you sent me there. That'll come out. I will put that up with the weekend. I'm trying to figure out what to send you with the weekend with Joseph with next weekend. If I can get the very, 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 very long Riese special knocked out and up in time, I'll put that up the day we're not with the episode with me and Igor and Joseph. Yeah, you sent me there, but were you there? I forgot if you were there or not. Anyway, Tom sends me to a lot of interesting places. It's a half of where when I'm out driving, I'll send Tom. I'm going to this general location. What do you have here? And then I'll start getting coordinates and pictures and strange things, and then I'll land on the ground, and Tom will piggyback me in through some interesting tunnel. And we're definitely also going to Rotbut, where they tested the V2 rockets, because that was just a hell of a place, where I decided to try my very best to drown Magda, I guess. It was tunnels were flooded, but that didn't stop us. And after a while, cold water stops being cold when you're inside, and it's inside your boots and shoes. So that's really cool. So we got that. I always wanted to see it. And first time I was at Woodwood, I could not for the love of me find it. It was that huge quarry not far from Door Midbau. And I couldn't find it. I was also very much in the wrong place, as it turned out. And if it wasn't for Tom, I don't think I would ever found my way or our way into that. The Brandenburgers, hey Loden. I did. What I have reached, I'm reaching out to some of the historians that are doing battlefield specials on the various wars of 70-year war, 30-year war, 100-year war, Prussian wars, Napoleonic wars, World War I, Austro-Prussian. I want to, because a lot of them do a lot of graphic videos of the battles and the battlefields and in schematics, but they don't go to the place. I go to the place. So I'm doing a little team up with, or I put out the feeler to some of the guys who do those, that I will do. I'll go to the place. You do the graphics, or maybe come with me if they're historians that are specifically set up for studied one specific place. Yes, there will be more of the units of the battles, and holy shit, Tom, is she still not out of the hospital? Tom's mom was in the hospital. Damn, I thought she was. I'm sorry about that. Not okay with that. I always felt getting out of the hospital sooner rather than later keeps you alive longer. Anyway, who destroyed the Wolf Slayer, you say? And when was that done? Thank you so much. Who destroyed the Wolf Slayer? Well, that sort of happened in stages. Geez, when was the last destruction done? It's well, the Americans took it. Hell, Tom, you want to jump on this chat and go over who and when Wolf's Lair was destroyed, because I can't remember. The tea house. Well, the tea house was destroyed. Mostly, from my memory, is that the governments have destroyed everything bit by bit by bit. I'm going to Argentina. Don't worry. There's a lot of special things going on in Argentina. I'm going to. The Germans they destroyed the house over time, and I don't think it was that. Some of the, God damn it. You know what? Let me just get into who and when and what they did that, because I do not remember exactly when all the different parts were destroyed. For instance, the new museum they're building are destroying one of the tunnels under the tunnels under Wolfslayer. The building was destroyed, and they built this other building in the same place as the house itself that looks sort of who destroyed the house Himmler built. Tom, when did they blow up the house up there? Because I can't remember. And then the Germans didn't blow up. The Americans took it all intact, and then it was blown up. I think the Americans blew up the house. 45. So it was the Americans and the German army at that time, post World War II, that blew it up, and then the other parts have gradually been destroyed over time. Entrances have been blown up, like the new museum they destroyed the last entrance to the tunnels on, which is really, really annoying. Yes, the last known monastery was built in 1994 in Montreal. I don't know how we got onto that, but yes, I thought that was very interesting. I don't know why. I think I actually did get a tip that there was a monastery out in Ohio that had some very specific secrets hidden, and they relatively recently, built another monastery building. So this is the old monastery. Apparently, those documents I got did not specify it was the old one or the new one, but I'm guessing it's the new one. So things are hiding in monasteries. I will be going to Argentina. I have a very good acquaintance of me that I've been chatting with for quite a while. Already then, I thought it lived a little longer. Oh, damn it. Already then they had bad ideas. Oh, so yes, Argentina. No, the Americans took Wolfslayer originally. As you've seen a lot of footage, I also used some of that footage of them going through that site, and I'll find more. But yes, I'm specifically going to Argentina and a couple of the adjacent countries because there's some very prominent Second World War personalities that are entombed in places out there that I can't wait to go over or see if I can actually get into. I will tell you that in 25 years, the caretakers of Hitler's legacy, I think it's 24 years now, will release what really happened to him from what I have been told. And I think we don't need to wait 25 years. I think we can let it go now. I think it's due time to get the truth on that. Machine, how's your sound thing going? Machine is working with his sound situation. It is now working. No, the Americans rolled all the way up to Wolfslayer. They're the first ones that got on the site, and they took the whole that whole area, took the building, and you see them going through the tunnels and stealing all Hitler's silverware. Literally, they did. Let's just be honest. Every GI who went through Obersalzberg stole part of whatever they could carry out of there. Gesundheit. And there's a house. Hitler had another house on the Swiss border, closer to the Swiss border, apparently, that I would like to see. And also Himmler's house is still for sale up there, I believe. But that became her house, right? Either way, it's still there. No one's destroyed it yet. Yeah. But Ian, I was told that he had a house, that he owned a house. I don't have any information if or when he was ever there, that he owned a house closer to the Swiss border, on the German side, of course. And I have a town written down somewhere, but since I am so senile, I couldn't remember my computer this morning when I went down to the office. All I can say is Prevagen does not work as advertised. What say you?
Well, if you found some and it's that old, and it's probably not going to work. But
I mean, so we should take Prevagen for our memory, right?
I mean, you should just. I mean, if you want some of that, you can just come to the Midwest. I mean, it's everywhere around here.
Prevagen?
Pervitin.
Not Prevagen, you Prevagen.
I know.
But then again, what good is memory drugs if you forget to take them?
Huh?
It becomes a problem. I'm just saying. So I'm looking for a new chemical solution to remember it.
What, you got Morel's cookbook?
Oh, I have the book. Yes, I have been to the Canary Islands. No, I have not been to the Subpens. And I will go back to Canary Islands. I have lots of really nice memories there. With my mom, she lived there for 11 years, and we went to visit a few times. So, but at that time, it really wasn't. It wasn't on my radar to go visit this many years ago. But yeah, that's the thing. And the whole thing about Hitler again, did he make it or not? I think ice cream will do it for me. I mean, I'm good with that. I'm still up on the fence. But my friend out in South America, out in Argentina, he wrote a very extensive book where he documented all the comings and goings of Nazi dignitaries after the war, including Hitler, Bormann, and Fegelein. And I'm hoping we can get his book published because he really has a story and documents life work to share. He's certainly convinced. If anything convinces me of Hitler's surviving the war, it is how convinced the people who have researched it seems to be, more so than the fact of the presentations. I don't believe he did. I don't believe he wanted to.
No.
But it's just there are people that are so adamant to him and his post-war family, and pictures of the family, pictures of Eva, pictures of Hitler after, that they're so convinced by what they've seen that I will most definitely give them a break and fly my butt out there, eat some good Argentinian steak, see the new president wave a chainsaw around, and listen to what they have to say. I mean, come on, the Argentinian president, he's cool.
You had to bring a chainsaw. I knew that.
I had to bring a chainsaw. Do we have any Argentinians in the chat here? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because he seems to get shit done. And that's an inspiration to a lot of people who don't get shit done these days. I'm looking at you, England, and you, Germany. Tom, is it true that the German police are chasing around after some guy who posted on Twitter that one of the fat German politicians was fat, and now they're trying to get him or her in jail? I saw that. You hear a lot of gossip. I figured just to ask because,
yeah, that's.
I mean, it's offensive to point out fat people are fat, but I didn't know it was a crime.
It's a European thing. Everything is a crime.
I know. If someone takes offense, it's a crime, and that really offends me, by the way.
Well, I'm offended at people being offended at things that I'm not offended at. So,
I mean, what is it Rumsfeld said? There's the unknown knowns and the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. The fuck did he say? What the hell was Rumsfeld talking about when he said that?
I don't think he understood it either. He was just like, "Yeah, I said that." It's kind of one of those things. I mean, you get a lot of politicians that are like this nowadays. They just say random crap and then hope that they believe it themselves later on. Like, they have no clue what they just said. They're like, well, it sounded good at the time, so I hope it works.
Yeah. All right. The Masquerade Project, I'm glad you paid attention because I haven't actually published anything of it yet, but I'm putting together a presentation video and I'm putting up a GoFundMe campaign for that. So there will be a lot more on that which is very, very interesting. And I don't suppose my buddy who found it is watching this online. I have a camera. Probably not. Okay. You will be informed. Yeah. Yes, there will be something on the mass grave, and I was thinking about reaching out to a couple of people from who has GPR lidars or GPRs for the site, which is going to be very overgrown, going to be crappy. But I want to get there in the spring. I don't want to be in that place in the summer. Believe me.
Mary, you don't like mosquitoes anymore?
Not Polish mosquitoes. Polish and Ukrainian mosquitoes can go suck my. Well, they would.
Yeah,
they already are. Green Planet Fund 1,000 complaints about citizens of memes and X postings. So the Germans are doing the same BS that the British are. You get. It's not so. It is not a criminal complaint. It's just sort of a complaint. I'm butthurt. I would take that as the colonies would take it as a matter of pride to have been imprisoned by the British.
As I say, I'm just trying to remember one of the UK police officers said that they would extradite Americans there to face trial. So up until I got blocked from their Facebook, the police department Facebook, I kept going on there and saying, I'm 1776% sure that this unruly man over here in the Americas just don't give a shit what you say. I continue. I mean, I go on. I was going on there like once a week and just saying something random. I'm like, so when am I getting extradited? I need a vacation.
I mean, it's all a UN globalist endeavor. It's not indicative. That's why I'm not surprised it's showing up in Germany as well. Because it's that crowd. It's the Davos crowd, the global crowd, the UN crowd that are pushing for all these controls. And it's just insane. We're back to the freedom of speech thing. However, before we paddle down that road, which we don't necessarily need to do because, well, what the hell? What did you do? You just had a you can't donate here in this chat, William. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. Wait for the campaign to actually start. Otherwise, I'll just spend the money on pretty girls and coffee, mostly coffee. Apparently, I can't spend it on cigars. I've been waiting 3 weeks for the postal service to deliver a box of cigars, and they can't figure out to do it. So I guess I'm done smoking cigars.
As long as it doesn't result in a penicillin shot, we're good.
No, I do not think David Irving is an MI6 agent. I really don't. And if he did, he would probably not have gotten half of the crap from the British government he did, to be honest. And I whether you like him or not, whether you like his all right, fine. We have David Irving in the mix, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's move on. I'll talk about what I did later.
I read all his books. I genuinely think he's exceptionally well researched. I think he has I don't think anything what he wrote was particularly offensive. If you take away, I mean, I read the books. I was trying to figure out why people were offended, but then it turns into the money and the thing he was insinuating. Hitler have to be the bad guy, and to me, the dead people are dead. If there are other facts or other papers, well, let's talk about it instead of the moment they start shutting somebody up like that. Then I get worried about why are you trying to stifle thought? Because right around that time, you started seeing laws banning conversations about these things, about those particular events. And everything is well researched. He pulls out the documents. He asked the right questions, and none of it was written in an offensive way. And he wasn't really. He always said, "Well, he was never a Holocaust denier." If you listen to, and I actually have all of his lectures from young to old, he never denied it. It was never there. But you see his anger towards a certain group of people. The more he's persecuted and sued and physically assaulted, the less kind he speaks of certain groups of people, which is somewhat understandable, I would say. And I was just I can pull his books and pull out references and paper and documents and quotations as I need, and I think that's brilliant. I think he wrote some. I think he wrote some really good books, and I think it's not right what happened to him. Regardless, you should be able to write or speak your opinion, him or not. Anyway, yes, machine.
Well, you kind of jumped right in there. You got a couple of things that we can really touch down on. Like, I mean, with the free speech stuff. I mean, we can go on that for quite a while. I guarantee you that.
We can also stick with history.
Well,
we can also stick with what we're here for a change.
But it has to do with history, if you think about it, especially the laws that are being written around the world to basically stop historians.
Yeah. That certainly has been a thing. How about we start on the positive note? You had a presentation a couple of days ago.
Yesterday, yes. Yeah, it was the first time I actually brought in anybody other than adults to talk about history and talk about the museum that's behind all that. And it was the Boy Scouts. I mean, the ages range from I think about 12 years old to 17. And I gave a disclaimer right at the beginning. As soon as we walked in the door, I said, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this for you. I believe that's a mistake. As a historian, I can't stand that. So you're going to get actual history. I'm going to show you the items. I'll tell you about the items and stuff like that. I will be throwing some other history in, and it's probably going to rattle you a little bit, but war is ugly. History is sometimes very ugly. So you need to know. And it went from, I thought it was going to take maybe about an hour. We went for just over 2 hours. And I mean, every one of them loved it. They had a really good time. I sent them home with a 16-page packet of fast facts from the wars, from everything from the Revolutionary War to Vietnam. They even got to take home a piece of history for themselves. So they absolutely had a blast. The one that we thought was not going to be interested at all, it was exactly the opposite. I guess for the rest of the night, he didn't want to sleep. He just wanted to sit there and read that and talk about it. He had an absolute ball. It was worth it. It was worth to spend that time and to see them enjoy history like we do, and to understand necessarily what we do, because that was one of the things I really wanted to ram home as well.
How many people showed up?
We had 2 adults and 5 kids.
Okay.
Just a small group for this time.
No, I mean, still, I mean, it's important to get the young generation involved in history. I actually always wanted to talk to Victor Hansen about where he thinks history is going as a teaching tool. Because you get exactly. Hang on for the questions for a minute, because otherwise they're gonna drown out in us just talking about this here for a minute. I'll set you free in a second. You have to get people started, and you have to get. We have a history thing on the 7th. Nothing historical happened on the 7th at all in December that I remember.
No.
I don't know why we're doing it on that day, but we are doing something on that day, and they wanted to do. It was with the military, of course, and we're bringing in some artifacts from the wars and trench art of all pieces. So thank God I have Scrimshaw, because we actually have one piece. You ask in the modern American military, anybody's got some trench art?
I've got a for one vase, yeah.
Right. So it's not like some of these that are hanging around. We're raiding our own museum. So, but yes, you have to give, especially young children, give them something in the hands. Give them something they can hold and feel and play with. And what I remember when I was in grade school, I was 12 years old maybe, a police officer came to the school and passed his gun around. So we can all handle and play with a gun, so we get a feel for what that was. And I thought, well, goddamn, a little crappy little thing. But you got to give people an artifact, give them something. And having grown up in Europe, where I could grow up with my granddad had a summer house on the Atlantic wall, so I get to crawl around through all these bunkers as a kid. That really gets your imagination going. If you live in the inner city in a big town, there's so little history around you. There might be, especially in Europe, there might be. But if you're in an American modern town, there's generally very little history unless you go out of your way to look for it if you're a school kid. So you have to get them interested. And we're straight back to it's hard to not talk about that when you look at the destruction of statues, of
Well, that's exactly what I was ramming home. That's the reason why I've worked so hard to I lost the majority of my collection during the whirligig that decided to, Dorothy and Toto took my shit. But but that was one of the things that I really wanted to ram home. The museum that I'm building, it's specifically for that purpose. I had them put on gloves because I'm not going to let them just handle most of the items by hand. And had them to where they could actually grab a hold of it, they could touch it, they could feel it, they could see it, and they're hearing the story about it. And I think that's what piqued the interest of the one, of especially the one that we thought was not going to be interested, because he could touch history in his hands. And I'll tell you what, that was one of the best things, because the questions just flew. What does this item represent? Where did it come from? Why, who possibly could have worn it, and everything else. And I mean, they just kept asking questions, and the more they got engaged, the more I talked, the more I told them about. And it did get to a point to where we were talking about, especially the Holocaust and stuff like that. And I didn't sugarcoat it for them. I broke down the numbers, told them how many camps there were, and necessarily what was going on. And they were very surprised at some of the things I said about us as Americans during the Holocaust. And I told the guy, the head guys that were there, that if I'm going too far with it, you just let me know, and I'll tone it down a bit. And they were exactly the opposite. They said, no, they need to know real history, and they need to understand this. And, like I said, one of the things I did was show them, about the item. And I showed them, as historians, what do we do? How do we go about things? Like, is, this, what's the origin of this, whether it's uses, where it came from, what is the purpose of it, through history, stuff like that. And they were so engaging, and it gave me hope. It really did, that the new generations may not necessarily be lost.
Well, I mean, considering the vote we just had, there might not be.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Right. But
no.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that I was bringing up, like with the whole free, when you were talking about when you mentioned the free speech thing around the world, that's exactly what's happening. They're trying to shut down historians. They're trying to shut down, okay, well, you can't have this item, you can't have that item, you can't dare talk about it. You can't erase history. Erasing history is a mistake.
But that is deliberately why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to destroy the nation. To destroy the nation, you have to erode and destroy the memory of the foundation of the nation. Because if you do that, it's typical Marxist. Communists have destroyed historical symbols, patriotic symbols of everywhere they've ever taken over, wherever they've gotten into power. That's what you do. You have to erase that memory so that the next generation doesn't feel a tie to their nation's history. That's how you get into a globalist world. You have a global world. We're global citizens. I almost gag whenever I say that.
I know.
I know I was born in Europe, and so one of you guys just asked me where I feel I am. I feel I'm an American because, and here's something profound. Obviously, when it's coming from me, it's going to be profound, and we should have gentle violin music in the back playing now. However, you are a little bit. America is it's a state of mind. It is a lifestyle. It is a collection of different people who have a way of life, a common way of life, a common point of view. Let's just keep the communists out of this part of the conversation. Talk about real Americans. I knew I was an American before I ever got here, because everything that makes Americans America makes this great country. The freedom we have here, we have something going for us here that you don't have anywhere else in the world. And you can stand out here. You can be different. You can be special. You can build a cool car. You can be a millionaire. You can be whatever you want to be.
You can walk your own path, and that's encouraged.
And you cannot do that in most of other Europe. And you most certainly cannot do that in little conservative Denmark. Don't you dare stand out. And I always stood out because I was always different, because I wasn't that boring conservative guy. Or in that actually, I was really conservative in that sense, but not in the way that I felt I belonged. And that's why I knew I belonged here. So that's why I feel I'm an American. I'll fight and die for this country. But not being said, if some communist little shithead decides to invade Denmark, I will go back and help. Don't get me wrong, but that's just as much me looking for a fight.
Yeah, but yes. Also just to remember, the Americans are generally the ones that will back that up, and that's exactly the thing. Like you said, it's a state of mind. I hear from people, all over the, we hear from people all over the world. And anytime that there's a problem in their country, anytime that they feel like they need to have a beacon of hope, whose flag that they fly?
Yeah. I mean, we are a special bunch of people. And it's funny when you see Americans show up, because you always know Americans have showed up being a little bit louder than everybody else and tipping everybody a little bit more, and usually being generally... We can be an annoying bunch when we show up, and it's funny because Americans stand out around the world. I'm just talking about normal politicians showing up, or normal people showing up, not politicians. Normal people show up because there's just a different way of outlook. It's a more of a free way of looking at things. We're a little bit more, I don't know. There's nothing we can't do. I go to Poland, I go to Czechia, I go to Germany, I go to France. I always get, we can't do this, we can't do that. And if you don't tell me, if I'm here in America, don't tell me there's something I can't do, because I will damn well figure out how to. And that's, I think, that we have the can-do way of life. I think that's what ultimate makes it. And I hear that from a lot of people, like, oh, you Americans, you just go and do these things. Like, yep, because that's kind of, we can. And I would like to think that the real America that founded the American dream, the whole concept of the country, is not dead. And I think the country is coming back. And what I think is can happen is if the European patriots of their individual countries picks up and starts celebrating their individual history, because everything is about history. Every thought we have, everything we do. I heard what that Merkel or one of these idiots in Germany. Oh, well, Germany doesn't really have a great history. Really? Like the idiot Macron in France at one point said, France really doesn't have a history of its own. He said that. This is France.
That's terrifying.
France
yes.
Can be more patriotic than Americans. Plus, the French will riot at a drop of a hat, unlike Americans who have now become fat and lazy, and we either get paid or proper motivated to riot. But the French will do it if you raise the price of bread for $1. So, God, he said Macron said some really dumb things, and then when you get this whole, but it all ties into this whole globalist ideal that we are global citizens, we're not individual country citizens, and that's why you have to take your country back and celebrate your history.
Yeah, easy there, Klaus Schwab.
Klaus Schwab. Yeah. I believe Europe is also not quite lost unless you lose freedom of speech and thereby communication.
But which they are eroding those.
They are very much doing that. But if the NSA, the CIA, and the State Department under Trump takes their finger off that control and let communication be free online, then everybody can start talking again.
Well,
I'm thinking.
Well, and like you mentioned, it's people like us. It's people like like you guys in the chat room. Okay, we are the ones, still pushing this. We are the ones still wanting people to learn, wanting to fight for what is right. And it's not these the Just Stop Oil jackasses or anything else like that. That's they don't even know what cause that they're pushing for. You do. You know that freedom is important. Freedom is important around the world. Is for everybody. And without, people like us, without people like you, this will go by the wayside and we will become a globalist crap hole. It's just going to happen if we don't fight back. That's why at the end of, even at the end of my show, it's, I tell 5 friends, tell those friends to tell 5 friends, spread the word, get this done. And, you guys are just, I keep saying you guys are important,
And it's when you start, it's just amazing that there are so many Europeans, present company excluded, because you guys are here, because you actually think. There are so many Europeans who don't seem to understand. You have thought police now. The thought police are there. You can't think this. Hate thoughts. You can't think this. You put it online. You can't tweet this. You can't say this. You can't say that. It's 1984. This is outright. This is how dictatorships behave. And it is terrifying. It's terrifying that people, there are Europeans who think that they're free. But I remember the last 3.5 years, especially here, if you tweeted the wrong thing, yeah, you may not be put in jail, but you might get fired for your job. You might be ostracized in this way or that way. They were doing what they could to keep people from having independent thoughts and saying things that are offensive. What is offensive? I hear a lot of things that are offensive, then I'll change the channel. It's not going to keep me up at night, but it keeps them up at night, because what they consider offensive is the truth about history, politics, about people, about the way they think things should be. And they don't want to coexist. That's the thing. That's the difference between conservatives and socialists. Ultimately, is conservatives can coexist with pretty much anything, as long as it follows rules and sensical ways of life, and nobody gets hurt and so on. That's not the other side. But anyway, question. I have a question. Is there a risk of getting put on something? Hang on. There's always a risk of being.
Well, and that was
putting on some list. Tino News, in theory, where all the bunkers are in Ukraine that NATO are likely to be operating from. Well, I don't think. Is that 2 questions? I don't know where they all are, because, well, that's a big country. You would probably look. Well, that's the question. All the bunkers we have in Eastern European countries that are not World War II bunkers, which they probably wouldn't be, although you have some deep bunkers built during the Second World War that could still be in use, are Cold War bunkers. And all the Cold War bunkers in Eastern Europe and Ukraine, the Russians damn well know where they are. So, would you want to stick a NATO headquarters, NATO contingent, assistance in one of those bunkers that that the Russians know where are and could target? You got to be pretty damn deep these days in order for something to not get to you. So, question is if they really are there or not, or they have built something new in the past couple of years, or they're just hiding in plain sight. I don't think anybody's using the World War II bunkers for something other than local defense. Cold War bunkers, well, I don't know where they all are. And I hear some stories.
A lot of the Cold War bunkers are actually just repurposed World War II bunkers, because remember, we were dealing with the Russians.
But in Ukraine, they didn't build that many, because that really wasn't on the cards. They built frontline defenses for a war with Germany.
Yeah, prefab fortifications, yes, but
yeah.
You're right, though. I mean, when it comes to bunkers, where did they, especially in certain areas of Ukraine, did they have the tunnels and undergrounds? Absolutely. But were they built like in the aspect of, like, let's say, what everybody knows about, which is like the Atlantic Wall, stuff like that? Absolutely not. Most of them are more very, very simplistic. And to be honest with you, if you toss a grenade in there, it'd probably just implode the place.
I mean, some of them are great defensive pillboxes. You've seen me in some of them. They bought out of them a couple of years ago. But when you look at the deep under Stalingrad, there's a deep bunker under there, somewhere in that general area. The Stalin, like four or 5 floors down. So there are some of these huge Cold War bunkers.
Speaking of that, just because you said that, it's just fresh in my head. They think they might have actually almost pinpointed where that is.
They should, because there's a large museum in it.
No, I'm talking about the stuff that they thought was buried in lost to history after the Battle of Stalingrad, when everything was buried over with the rubble. According to what a friend of mine had said from there, and what I've been trying to kind of low key look for, there was a full bunker system. There was one at the rail yard. There was one almost at city center. And according to him, they believe that they found possibly another one that is on the southeast corner, closer to the river. But they don't know. They're still doing, obviously doing testing and stuff like that. But they believe that there is a large bunker system there.
Interesting. Keep an eye on.
But.
Interesting. I know. I mean, I know there was also outside Kiev, there was old tunnels built from way before the 19th century that were repurposed. And I couldn't get to see them last time I was there because no one could find the key. I guess we'll have to jump on this one. Here's the honest question that nobody wants to hear. And I hate to say it, and I'm not stating my opinion. I'm just saying this is how the world thought at that time. No one really cared. That's pretty much the simple answer. Nobody really were that concerned about the European Jews during the Second World War.
No.
Americans weren't. The British weren't. Nobody really wanted them living in their backyard. They filled the ship up with 1,000 Jewish children and tried to port them in. Havana wouldn't take them. America would 5 ports on the East Coast. We wouldn't take them. No one really cared. That's the honest to God truth of why no one cared.
It's the faint outrage.
Yeah, and we had a bomb. What would we do with a nuclear bomb after the war had ended to save the Jews behind? Also, another part is that there were quite a few Jews within the Communist Party and within that side, so we didn't necessarily rescue them after the war had ended at that point. So it's ugly. That is a chapter that is ugly for everybody, and that's why there are a lot of people that don't want to talk about or have any conversations about Jews, Holocaust, World War II, because it really boils down to everybody looking bad. They're running it from what? Oh, okay. I'm scrolling through questions. I'm determined to get all questions today.
I'm looking through one of them in particular. Incorruptus asked how useful are bunkers.
Oh, good. Yeah, I see that one. Okay, I will. If you are in a war, in a shooting war, as opposed to needing storage for your wine, and you are under attack from anything, any bunker is better than no bunker. Right? Yep. It's just like a bad tank is better than no tank. A bad gun is better than no gun. Bunkers are good at what they do. Like I said, you saw the Kiev episodes I did from last year. The Ukrainian, or from 22. The Ukrainians were fighting the Russians in a modern war from bunkers built during the Second World War. And they held the line in places. Yes, you can destroy a bunker, but you don't always have a tank. You don't always have a rocket, missile, whatever, javelin. And I don't think javelin would do a whole lot to a bunker unless you hit the embrasure straight on. I don't think it would penetrate 2 meters of reinforced cement.
Hey, I agree. I was. Never mind. Go ahead.
So in that sense, bunkers plus just like your helmet. Your helmet won't protect you from direct shot because any rifle bullet will go through your helmet, but it will protect your head from shrapnel. Same thing with a bunker. You fill it up with civilians unless somebody's actually trying to take out that very bunker. they will be protected from the shrapnel, from the fallout, from the pressure waves of explosions. They have a lot of merit to them. Am I missing something there? I think that's so. Yeah, they are. It's better to have one than have none.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. And like I said, you mentioned tanks and stuff like that. Was the Sherman tank one of the best tanks that was ever devised? Absolutely not. But we had lots of them, and they were effective in groups, and that was exactly the thing. I mean, right now on the battlefield, the more technologically advanced tanks are actually the ones that are losing the battle.
Where's the quality control list of my T-34? None. Okay.
Well, but I mean, with the T-72 and stuff like that, I mean, they're the best thing that they can do is play this game called turret toss.
The Russian tank space program.
The cosmonaut made from a tank. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but again, you may take a bunch of hits until you finally die. It's still better to have a tank than have no tank.
Right.
Although that seems to be the way the Russians are gaining ground, is by not having smaller units, vaguely supported by some armor, taking small chunks at a time. So there's not one big target for a drone. There's not one big target for an artillery strike. They're all scattered out, small units all throughout the battlefield. Is how they're sort of doing it. Which tells me they're learning or something.
Yeah, but they've been caught on that one too. As of in recent days, the Ukrainians have figured this out and are putting quite a hurt on these little segments. But I mean, when it comes to the ground gain thing, they're really not gaining anything at all. They're sitting stagnant in the same area, and that is by design, because that's the only area that they want. They're just pissing with the rest of them. But oh, go ahead.
No, it'll be an interesting. It'll be interesting to dissect the Ukraine war. Hopefully, when it ends, and we can actually break that down. I remember going to grade school and having nuclear drills, hiding under the table, and we always had. Every Wednesday at noon, the alarm, the air raid siren would go, and their schools would have basements. The kids could assemble in an orderly fashion, like a fire drill. It was a conversation, but it wasn't a conversation where we were panicked or nervous, or it wasn't. We all knew. In Denmark, there's 240 some. Civil war shelters, one in every main country that could run that city, every city that could run the cities independently, and their close defense and police force and emergency services and military from that one place, and they're one in every town. So we were all aware of the civil defense, we're all aware of the military, we're all aware of the Cold War, but we never lost any sleep over it. Not like the young generation who was losing sleep over apparently global warming. But we had the talk. We had it. It was very elaborate, very elaborate programs of the Cold War. Even in small countries like Denmark, where you had stores set up in forests. Soldiers were called up. They would literally take their civilian car, clothes, whatever, drive to the assembly area, and walk in one end of the building and come out a completely decked out soldier in the other, or drive out in their vehicle. Everything was set up ready. It was very elaborate. What was the biggest underground complex? But why one goes so very primitive? William, you had something like Bergkristall, which was the most advanced tunnel complex during the Second World War, and it's primitive because everything was gutted. It took the Americans and the Russians a better part of a year and a half to get all the machines out that they put in there. So today, when I go through tunnels, of course, most of everything is gone. There's 9 kilometers of tunnels in Bergkristall, full of machinery, full of lavs, acid baths, everything. They made jets, they made Me-262s, they made V1 parts, I think V2 parts as well, plus all the things we don't know. So when I go in, all I can look for is how many cable attachments, machinery attachments, foundations, and go from there. How much power looked like it was funneled in there, work floors, workspace, but sort of guesstimate. But there's quite a few. Quartz was huge. Cement tunnels were really large. Door Mittelbau was big. Of course, what's the big one where they did the end stuff? Holy crap, I forgot the name of that. I really can't remember Jack today. Falkenhagen, jeez. I mean, what's the USA shouldn't have been. Hang on, this is. I wish the USA. We shouldn't have abandoned the AT&T long line system. Yeah, hardware is hardware. Is not entirely wrong. I don't know. I hope he has a plan. What do you think? What say you?
I got nothing.
I hope. I am hoping that he has a better plan than we can't come up with, because one thing is stopping the fighting is probably fairly easy, possibly, but you would have a frozen conflict in place that is untenable. If the fighting stops without a really solid peace plan backed up with guarantees and promises, the Russians will rearm and come back in a couple of years. The Ukrainians know that. They're not stupid. I don't think Zelensky can give up and survive politically, or even survive giving up the territory the Russians have taken. I'm not sure Putin could give up the territories he's taken and survive that politically. So how are you going to cross that bridge?
Right. Well, and that was, but that was the intention from the beginning. Remember, back in the 90s, before he was even in power, he talked about Novorossiya, which is New Russia, which is basically the old USSR. He knew exactly what he was doing. This has not, he knew that he was going to do this. He just waited his time, and by waited his time, he waited for certain people to be in office that weren't going to piss with him.
And the right excuses to his own people and to the West, the right reasoning. You still always need a reasoning before you go to war, and this was the right time and the right reasoning. And which that is the other thing, is you have to refrain. You have to remember, if he really wants this to be Greater Russia, if he does, it's then that's a whole different, that changes the conversation, because then it's not about him giving up his season. It's about him. And the Russians supposedly have plans for what they would do with putting a puppet government in Ukraine, keeping what they've taken. And then they even talked about giving over the Western Ukraine to Poland and Hungary or whatever. They have I'm not sure that's not a propaganda map that was put out. I don't know. It seems like it could also be. I'm also not blind to the fact that the people, sometimes the people we like, they also put out propaganda. I don't know. I would like to have some more documentation on that, but I hope that they're intelligent people that have a plan on how to get out of this. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Listening to Medvedev is like listening to Alex Jones. I'm just going to put that out there.
What did it never do to you?
Sorry, I had to say it. But I mean, remember this isn't the first go around. He's been doing this for years, and nobody's really been paying attention. The Chechen War, the Georgian War, Dagestan. It just continues and continues and continues, and they're never the good guy in the scenario. They're always the aggressor. So at what point, what does the world not notice and say, hey, this is not a good thing?
And it's interesting when you read the Russian manual today for the soldiers with their 70 points. It makes clear that Russians don't commit war crimes. Well, that's not true. But anyway, you have to put that in paper. Everyone does. And they said, well, we'll defeat the enemy and don't retreat and do this and that and the other. And they will soon. The Ukrainians will fight. They enlisted that there is no legitimate government Ukraine, which it starts out with. There is no Ukraine, which is second or third point. The final point after the end is at the end. Our Ukrainian brothers will fight with us on our side. Like, okay, so you have contradicted yourself in this whole piece of paper by saying that there's no Ukraine, but the Ukrainians will fight with you on the side. That works better saying that before you bomb and kill women and children. I'm just saying.
Right.
It's really hard when you start shooting and don't get me started because it's a real thing. I've seen the sites of the war crimes. I've talked to the people. They did it and they started doing it. And they said, well, Ukrainians are doing it too. Yeah, well, after Bucha, what do you think was going to happen? It's kind of hard to say win them over after that. Let me do it. The Vietnamese had great tunnel systems. Yes, I would love to see the Vietnamese tunnel systems, although they're a lot smaller. Maybe not what I'm used to.
Yeah, but I would have to go with you because I would probably have to bring the sleeping juice and the needle there because you might get stuck in the tunnel and freak out.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Modern warfare have cut survivability rate from drones. Actually, survivability overall for modern wars have gone. Let me see. World War I, hardly any civilians were killed. World War II, a lot of civilians were killed. Vietnam War, Korea, lots of civilians were killed. Civilian casualties have gone up in modern war, depending who's fighting it. Although we are trying to, and that's another thing, is we've always tried to be the good guys, but with all our stealth technology or our precision bombing, which
Admin had a good question too.
Shoot, I'm still at my call.
You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Whoever detonates a nuke and you are within radius, good luck to you. Yeah, true. Like the Humvees, oh, the shit. Especially in the winter or the summer, or if it rains, or if it doesn't rain, or going through nature, or on the surface streets.
See, I've been getting other intel on that. I've got some Ukrainian friends that say that they absolutely love them. You just got to tighten up the stuff so it doesn't rattle apart at 40 miles an hour. But they said they're loving them because they're saving their lives. One of them got blown completely in half. I mean, the entire back half was missing, minus the chassis and the wheels, and they drove it back to base.
They have a functionality on the battlefield, but as a utility vehicle,
they suck.
Like, we may as well leave the Hummers for war and then go back to driving Willys Jeeps. It would be more comfortable, and you'd have more leg room.
And faster. And you don't have to worry about your wheels going like this and the doors coming.
I mean, the roll rate on a Humvee is, I think, 34% of the degrees. It's nothing. And then you have less room. It is the largest vehicle I've ever been in with the absolute least amount of space for anything.
Right.
I don't even sit comfortably in a Hummer. I have to bunch up also with my legs because there's the whole case in the middle.
I'm a short guy, I'm only 5'6", and even after sitting in one, I'm like, this is not good. But getting a chance to get inside one of the new Max Pros though, that was nice.
I mean, if you ever took a Hummer for 100-mile trek, I mean, you're windblown and you're deaf. You can no longer hear human conversation. Only the words and tones of dogs can hear. It's just terrible.
Well, that's one of the things I was told, that they actually started putting Dynamat, the sticky sound deadener inside these things on the battlefield.
I know, right? I mean, hearing aids. We need that for the fucking car. So I see I don't know if there's any Danes here. I saw the Danish warship cornered in the Chinese ship that supposedly tore the cables of the ground, which I thought was interesting. What question did you say you had found? Because I'm all over the place here.
let me go back up. Go back up to it. Our friend Mr. Admin there says,
What about a Balkan? That's right, Tom. That's a bigger tunnel system. But that wasn't. Well, it wasn't designed to be a factory. It just became one when it was no longer needed for the device. Anyway, what did you say?
No, Adman asked us both the questions. How do you feel about the trilateral cooperation between the U.S., Russia, and China, as Putin requested in his Vaudi conference speech a couple weeks ago? Well, my thoughts on that is actually, surprisingly enough, even China is not wanting to get their hands dirty in this. They're sending them a few things, but they're not going in the aspect of what Putin is trying to ask for.
You know what? I haven't specifically heard what he said he wanted to do. However, I'll say this. There's a few different types of people. Like friends are a little bit like countries. There are those you like, there are those you need, and there are those you just want to kill. Now, if you don't want to bomb a nation, or you can't, or you shouldn't, but you might need it because, well, there's three pretty damn big, really significant countries on the planet, China, America, and Russia. Can't really get around that. Maybe talking to them and talking to each other, have some sort of beginning coming together with some consensus on some things may not be a bad idea. You can always get to the bombing part. That's easy. But maybe you should not. Let's take the Ukraine war out of this for a second. Yes, I think that some of the most powerful nations in the world should work together, converse, have interactions. I think maybe right now we should have interactions with Cuba and try to win them over away from communism and starving their people to death without electricity. This might be a good time to reach out and say, do you want that McDonald's? Because we can fix this.
Right.
I mean, we're back to talk. I talked to Joseph about this, so you don't know this conversation because you haven't heard it yet. We're trying to come up with what communist dictatorship has ever been destroyed by revolution or war. Not really any. They all crumbled from within. And we could help that. We're very good at putting up Starbucks and McDonald's and corrupting any other country in the world with our American fast food. I'm not sure this is where I want to go with this conversation, but anyway, we'll go for it. Influence us with what makes us great, but we have to remember what makes us great, and that's what we have to sell. The freedom, the American way of life, the American dream. If we can export that, then that might inspire some of these people on the other side of these communist dictatorships to recoil, or their people will be able to see our way of life and go, hell, we want to have that. And I think instead of shutting them off, I don't know if it'll help sending McDonald's to North Korea at this point. I might be a little late. But I think there are places like Cuba we could win over by reaching out to them here now. They're screwed right now. Cuba is in a very bad shape. Yeah. Russians can't afford to help them. Venezuela can't help them anymore because they're screwed. No one is helping them. They're starving. They have no electricity. This is the time where Trump and Musk is going to say, you know what? We can help rebuild your country. We just want you to have an honest election. We'll come in. We'll put up some solar panels, whatever. And I think the Cuban people would be very much in favor of that. They might have to. But I think that's one of those countries that could collapse within its own and be turned into an actually normal country.
Well, there's even some of our allies that have brought up that fact and said that they would easily help out. I mean, even Germany has expressed interest in giving them a hand. Yeah. France did before Macron. He's Macron. So I believe Sweden was actually on that list too, saying that they would help out. But I don't have that in front of me, so I can't really confirm that.
Here you guys have been blue. I'm just reading the chat. No, we absolutely don't. We don't want to fund the Cubans. We don't need to.
No,
because the first ones, if we open up some sort of relationship with the Cubans under the premise of actually starting to take a step towards democracy in favor of, saving their people from starvation, the people might take that as, all right, like all communist dictatorships, it will crumble. There'll be, if we then open up for a Western influx of investment, how many do you think Marriott would like to get in on the ground floor of a building Cuba, starting by sticking a bunch of hotels on that waterfront? It worked really well in the 50s. I think a lot of them would like to come back.
Well, and I'm telling you, the idea on fixing their economy and everything, what would fix their economy really fast? Let them send us the cigars. We could their entire economy. They would probably have a better economy than ours if they would just let us support the cigars.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think sometimes there's a way of, it's not the people in these countries. They have been under communist dictatorship yoke so long, they can't just go take to the streets without any guns and rise up on their own. Like a couple of years ago, when we had almost had a color revolution in Iran, but of course the Democrats did not want to help the Iranian protesters, so we let them die. We could have flipped Iran. It was this close. I spent some time yesterday. My physical therapist is from Iran, or Persian, and we're talking about it. Iran was that close to kicking out the priests. A little help from the CIA. If they had actually pulled their finger out and done the right thing for a change, we could have changed that whole dynamic. But the Democrats in the White House did not want to do that. So I'm not saying that if the Cubans start starving enough, it won't take that much to help them topple and then start rebuilding the country with private investment from companies who wants to be in on the ground floor of this. Build some casinos, maybe. That's going to work. Cigars for old car parts. See? All right, fine. Oh, thank God, we're back to normal history. Yes. I think what we're seeing today at the Project Riese sites is unfinished, absolutely honestly unfinished projects, unfinished tunnels, unfinished sites that would have become operational at some point. However, I think there's also a lot of parts to Riese that we don't know of, that is not finished, that is finished, that is hiding. So a little bit of both. I don't think what we're seeing is a ruse, because I think they were honestly trying to make these things into whatever they were supposed to be, but they didn't get there. But considering the amount of the expenditure of people, of material, there must be something somewhere else. And there's a lot of statements to that fact from prisoners, from others, former prisoners, that had seen large underground installations that was fully operational. So yes to both, or yes to all. I like Cuban cigars, just can't afford them.
Well, they do have a point about the Honduran, though. I mean, it is a fantastic cigar, but
well, I will tell you that the Dominican Republic took over. They got a bunch of the Dominican. There's 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, the Cubans had a really bad cigar harvest, infestation, weather, or something, and the harvest failed. And some of their leaf went to the Dominican, so that the Dominicans were now growing Cuban leaf. So by that definition, that leaf is grown in Dominican Republic are actually Cuban cigars.
Right.
So, but it's also, you can't just say Cuban cigars are all good, because now you have the first assortment, the second assortment, the third assortment, the ones kicked out back the door that only sell to the cheap tourists. There's a lot of different grades of Cuban cigars and who made them and how much they are, and there's a lot to that. But yes, But yeah, they are. If they're the right ones, they're good. But honestly, a Hoyo del Monterrey made in Cuba or a Hoyo del Monterrey made in Dominican Republic, if you're good, you can taste the difference. If you're not an expert, you're probably going to be okay with either one. But this was about Cuba, so let's help them out. Yeah, Cubans are counterfeited so often.
Gosh, now I need to go. Now I need a cigar.
You should come out here. I have one cigar I can't afford to smoke because I can't. I bought it, so I paid for it. So theoretically, I actually have two of them. Bought a. If I win an Oscar or I get nominated, field marshal or something, I'll smoke it. But I can't justify smoking it. It just costs too much money. Remember, I used to have money back in the day. Before somebody decided to pull the rug on real estate. Thank you so much. Like I said, I ordered some cigars from somewhere else, and they can't figure out how to deliver them because they need my signature. And where am I not ever? Home.
Yeah, but now we went in cigars. We could probably get into bourbons and brandies too.
I don't. When it comes to alcohol, I guess I'm almost a homosexualist because I like liquors, like amarettos, I like Baileys, I like mead, marzipan liquor by the Danish Liquor Factory.
Well, I guess that makes sense. I guess you would definitely be on the list of metrosexual at least because you like blueberry coffee.
I mean, I used to get my nails done. I can't afford that kind of shit. I'm more stuck at work anyway. I'm a little metro. I mean, come on, we all get our eyebrows plucked, which is something old guys. If you're old and you're single, fucking trim your eyebrows. Seriously, girls will appreciate that.
I trim my eyebrows, okay, only because I don't want the little feelies going off like this, and they get uncomfortable and they feel weird.
Neither does your wife. So there.
Well, but the problem is see, the older I get, the more my hair just migrates. So I'm getting more in my ears and my nose than anywhere else.
It's funny how that. I mean, if you could only take chest hair and stick that on your head, right?
No kidding.
Haircut from men is a real thing. I'm just saying.
Yes, people.
I mean, like I said,
it's not turning into the machine show.
There's a place in Mexico. They do hair plugs really cheaply.
Oh no, don't. There's a lawyer here in town that got the hair plugs. It looks like somebody just planted shag carpet. It's hilarious.
I mean, if you do it right, I mean, but
it
then
does not look natural.
You'd be surprised how many of the guys in Hollywood have that done, and you really can't tell. But if you can afford 10, 20 grand, yeah, then you get a good service.
It looks like there's a dead raccoon on a dude's head. Okay, I'm sorry. It just does not look natural.
Only if it's moving. But it's funny. I grew up in a world where metrosexual men were not a bad thing. You have your nails done. You'll trim your eye hair. You fucking trim your nose hairs. And that sort of stays with you. Like, nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. But then you get the generation that came before me who do not. The one before that, like the granddad's generation, where you see like all this weird Geopet hair sticking out anywhere, and you see the wife next to him, and you're like, man, do you not love your husband enough to tell him to shave his ears? I'm just...
Chevy, I will be completely honest with you. I'm an acquired taste, so be very, very prepared. He said he just subbed to my channel.
Yeah.
There are videos of the vehicles and stuff like that, and the race cars and stuff on their Chevy, though, so you'll be happy. Let's see here. There was one that I was going to mention. Oh, Tom says next time you get liquors here, Tino.
We got to, Tom. We have to. Magda has been talking about that orange Jägermeister that she's wanting to inflict on all of us. I'm afraid we're going to have to do the orange Jägermeister thing. Bailey's. I mean, okay. Another thing about cigars. Manscaping shows your women you care. Thank you, T-Bird. Thank you very much. See, thank you. Like I have told every girlfriend in my life, I'm not eating things with hair in it. So, meanwhile,
well, see, I got a legitimate complaint about this. Okay, just hear me out, because with the two ladies together doing the thing, it's called carpet munching. But if it's completely clean, would it be linoleum floor munching? I just got to know.
Hey,
and did we go too far with this?
I don't know. Most of our politicians probably wouldn't think so, being a bunch of rubber humping Barbie thumpers. But anyway, I was talking about orange Jägermeister is what the young lady claims that we need to try. And I don't know how that's going to work in a Jaeger bomb, but wait a minute. Orange Jägermeister in the red. Hang on a minute. Orange Jägermeister in a Red Bull Jaeger bomb. So orange Jaeger bomb. So like communist Jaeger bomb. We'll rename it. Could that work? That orange and Red Bull? That won't work, will it?
God, no, that sounds terrible.
She swears by it.
My wife would drink.
Now it's getting cigars. Here's a tip with cigars. I took classes. I used to have money by then. I used to be civilized and cultured. I wear shirts and stuff. I gave it up. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. When you smoke cigars, you don't want to eat anything acidic. Don't eat any fruit pies, fruit tarts. Don't drink fruit-tasted beers or cocktails or anything like that. You want to have coffee is good, of course, good with it. Hot chocolate is good with cigars. Chocolate. Eat a little bit of chocolate while you have your cigar. It'll add to the flavor. You want something sweet. And that's why I like amaretto and cigars are really good together. It's a good flavor mix.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
No,
and eat something before you have a cigar. Don't eat don't eat your cigar on an empty stomach. You know what I mean.
Well, you're right though. It changes the bouquet. It makes it taste funky.
Yeah, Bill, he knows his cigars.
But see, I'm man, we've already went too far with this, but I'm going to go a little bit further.
Yes.
I have no interest in smoking vag. I'm just.
There was a time, like I said, when I used to be important in the entertainment world. It was a short minute, but I went to the Playboy Mansion quite a few times to smoke cigars. And believe it or not, my main thing in the Playboy Mansion was the food. I went for the meatloaf. And I'm not being euphemistic or something else. I'm talking about actual meatloaf.
I was going to say, which meatloaf?
They had, whoever they catered that, there was a phenomenal meatloaf they had. They had really good food when they were there. But also, there was also a lot of women. And the whole cigar dip thing is a real thing. Don't let it startle you. Because most things that Playboy bunnies or attractive erotic table dancers do is not a negative. So, that being said, how are we doing on the whole war?
Oh, hold on.
He quit. Couldn't hack the banter. Let's see. What somebody says about Pepsi is good with a cigar. Love from Rush Limbaugh. Pepsi? Oh, my God. Pepsi's still around? I don't know. I'm going to go. Have you ever tried diet? Okay. Dr. Pepper Zero and cigars goes well together as well. Because Dr. Pepper is a little bit almondy. So, yes, so that's actually, although I don't think anybody in their right mind in Europe have died Dr. Pepper Zero. And yes, Rush Limbaugh, good man. What do you got?
Trust me, there's nothing fruity about this. But it's absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best ones I've had, and it's worth every penny. It's from Wallersheim Distillery. You'll have to look it up. It's their red, white, and blue American whiskey. They actually used red, white, and blue corn in the actual percentages of the colors of the flag and everything. And
that's awesome. I love it.
Oh, this is supposed to be our only special occasion bottle for the show, and you can see it. We make up special occasions. But I'm gonna have to save you some of that because if you do ever come this way, you're gonna have to try it. It's just fantastic.
I'm gonna have to. What did we used to have at work before? Now that I didn't drink. Well, we had Red Bull and Bacardi Lemon. Is a very good pre-work drink, unless you don't operate heavy machinery, I guess. Never mind.
I don't drink soda at all. So they keep
What happened to Monica Lewinsky? What happened to Monica Lewinsky? That poor girl.
She still occasionally speaks.
Why? I mean, about what?
Random politics.
So you're saying she has good oral skills?
Probably.
I mean, I thought that's what Bill kept her around for. Never mind. Thank you, Joyce. Are there any women in the chat who have at this point in time taken offense yet? I'm
an equal opportunity offender, so
I don't think they would. I don't think women would have been here that long without understanding our sense of humor. So I think we're probably good. I mean, I feel a little sorry for Monica Lewinsky. I do. What don't know what she's doing now, but I mean, she was a young girl and she's the president, and yeah, I guess. Blue dress sold. Really? The dress sold? She didn't even get her dress back?
Why would somebody want to buy? Never mind. Hey, did they want the sock under my bed too? You can buy that.
I hear somebody's backing us back to reality. Oh, thank God for that, because this was just about to turn into something completely different.
What? You want to hear about the amount of DNA deposited in a single sock? Come on.
Going to talk about McGregor, but that's different. What are we waiting for permission for? I'm still pissed off that they won't let me into Goebbels' house, yet people keep breaking the window and crawling in to see it. There are places that. Where do I want to go that I can't go these days? I mean, Berchtesgaden, obviously. Kelabau, obviously, out in Austria. There's a couple of forts in Poland that I somehow need to convince the Polish government to let me see. Nothing specifically to do with World War II. A lot of it seems to be okay. It's just a matter of timing. But again, the Germans, Jonastal S3, what's on the proving ground. Maybe we're just going to have to wait until they turn it into a nature preserve, and we have to do everything with GPR in the middle of the night. I don't know. There are some places of interest. It's just about negotiating and waiting for some. Maybe I should try to get a job in the new administration so I can have the president call and tell him to let me in. I guess. I saw another question. Oh, poor Marty. Yeah. Is there any way to explore the radioactive tunnels? Yes. Radioactive tunnels? Which one, John? Which ones were you thinking? Carla? Yeah, Carla? Well, I make. Although they're exceptionally anal about that, they put a damn big deer on that one. But yeah, there's a few.
Well,
there's a few. I mean, and if no, Tom will figure it out. Oh yes, there's another one, but we don't mention that other one yet, Tom, until we've been there. Never mind. There's something coming up. Tom is finding holes in the ground. Gene, why are you sitting in the corner of your picture? Could you sit up straight, man, and look in the camera? Jesus. Like, stop hiding. Looks like I'm talking to half of a hat. Thank you. Jeez. Yeah, hey, Mike. SS gun range. Oh, that's back to Berchtesgaden again. Well, I think they'll let us in the gun range if we wanted to see, but I don't know if they covered that up unless there's that hole in the ground. It would be interesting to see what angle that's on or at, or what angle toward, is it perpendicular to this shooting range or not. Been to Vogelsang out which is not really that interesting, which is why you haven't seen a lot of.
I've heard that a couple of times.
I mean, it's an interesting place to visit, but
yeah, but I've heard it's just like, if you see a few minutes of it and you're like, yeah, we're here.
It's a huge complex and it's impressive to see. What I would like to see is, okay, I don't know if you know that. The complex they built on the Baltic Sea. Tom, what's that called? The apartment. It's an apartment being turned into an apartment complex now. It was just, that big apartment complex they built on the as a resort on the Baltic Sea, Germany. What's that called? I cannot remember the name of that right now. But that's built by the same architect as the guy who built Vogelsang. Not by Wogan. Before that, it's Germany today. They're turning into condominiums right now that are too expensive.
Aren't they doing the same thing to Prora?
Thank you, Petra. Prora.
Yeah, aren't they doing?
That's built by the same guy. So there's that. Thank you. That's interesting. So I thought, when I go to Prora as well, then I have footage from both, and then I can do something about what the architect did, because he did a lot of stuff for the Olympics as well in '36. Then I can sort of tie it together with something. So there. UN apartments on up. Where they conducted the webinars. Yes. It's very funny because that seemed to be a conversation that has landed on my desk today by 4 different people. And then I saw one of the people I know actually went there on a video that I had a chat with Alex about the Rugen bomb test. And as I opened my computer at work, the first video that came up recommendation is somebody I know who went there. Rugen Island, first nuclear bomb test. So don't tell me they're not listening. Problem with that site is it's been so long, William, since they tested these small devices. The same thing, I suspect, in Jonastal. It was a fairly small device, looking a little bit like the Davy Crockett type size bomb. And with this, was a 7-year half-life, with a half-life of radiation, there's very little to measure, if anything at all. Like I said, in Jonastal, there's nothing to measure. I have soil samples. There's just nothing there to measure anymore. It makes it hard to find, or hard to find anything. If I will go there. I have the coordinate. And we did, right? It's like that just keeps coming up today. It must be that day. And what date was it? That was in October, I think that test was. If we could find the bomb shelter that they observed from. Another problem with the Rugen bomb site is that the Russians turned it into proving ground. They also had stuff there, built little trenches, little buildings after the war. So,
question, T-Bird.
I think it is, isn't it? I don't think the Bikini Atoll is radioactive anymore. You can dive it. Yeah.
I would say dive it, but there's several sections of the island that's actually still way off limits.
I mean, they scraped a lot of the soil together and put it on that huge dome.
Yeah. You know what? That's
if it's in the water, it would be. I mean, yeah. There's the shit in the water, of course, but I think that would be safe by now.
I have something on that happened recently, but it's not on this computer. It's actually on my laptop. But they went and they did more soil tests and found more. So I don't know if it's still completely 100% off limits or not.
I mean, at some point in time, we're going to have to do the Pacific. Well, and Thailand and Philippines. I'm going to the Philippines. I have to go to the Philippines.
Just stay away from the ladies in the bar.
Yeah, I mean, Filipinos are interesting people. But yes, I will be going more up and down the West Wall. That actually reminds me, I need to find out how Marcus is doing. I haven't heard from him for a while. Yeah, the reading on the ground. Yeah, that was S3 again, and I know there's stuff under S3. If the Philippines again, about it's interesting what Patton said about Ordroff. Ordroff is where Unastal is where the S3 is where they did the bomb test, and it is or was a military proving ground. And yet, when Patton went there, they also had the Ordroff. That was the first concentration concentration camp, a sub camp that they liberated. And Patton said that taking this area would be the most glory I can't remember the exact wording. It would be the most glory anyone could take in this war. It was cast glory and fame on the one who took it. So he wanted to take Woodruff, a military proving ground. Why would that and be glorious unless he knew there was something else there? And I think he did. And once they found out what was there, we don't talk about that anymore. No glory here. And then Patton died.
Well, he's a tank man, so you can put two together.
That was not just a proving ground, because why would that be of any interest to take? And yet Roger's fine. He's snowed in, freezing his butt off. All the mice and rats are coming in from the field because it's so cold. So those cats are working overtime eating them. Someone asked about Roger.
I think
no radiation. Back to the radiation. Yeah, I figured they'll be looking at it.
Yes, Incorruptus, I seen that that Nautilus has been there and that they are mapping it, but they're only releasing so much of it, probably for obvious reasons.
Thank you, Adman, but I think what's his name, Victor Hansen is probably better qualified for that. I just want to be the secret researcher.
Yeah, we just want access to the Federal Archives.
I just want access and then permission to kill the enemies of my country. But that's it. Oh, I did get the two of the daily hospital reports on Patton, and providing that they are authentic, then they were actually giving him stuff that might kill him. That has been known to cause heart attacks. I guess I could publish them, but I don't really want to do that because I don't really know if they're real. They look damn real. But yeah, it seems that there was something going on there. Riche's involvement in the Nazi atomic program. Well, you know what?
I'll be right back.
The next chat or the chat after with Joseph, he will take that conversation and tell you, because we had to talk about that when we recorded last week. But Riche was involved far more before and after the war, and he was involved in the program during the war as well. So he was not just a fly-by-night at all, and he wasn't a kook like they said he was. There's a reason why the Argentinians actually blew up his lab there. That I will go see, and I have plans of it. Fly-by-night. So, yeah, no, we're very, very much interested in what he was actually doing. Hello, South Africa. How are you all doing? Why would they blow up? This is the thing that's always strange. They always blow up and destroy things they say there's nothing to. And you keep telling me, well, no, there's nothing to see here, so let's blow it up and bury it. Like, jeez. It's just, I love when governments do things like that, because it seems that they really are not thinking. Pacific is one of the islands are now full of people. Much of the stuff. Yeah, that's how it is everywhere. There's just people getting in the way of history. But there's still some stuff to be seen. But diving on some of that's why I want to go to the Philippines. I want to dive on some of the wrecks out there, which that's like really a good idea. It will be interesting if the ships on the Bikini Island nuclear tests are available to dive on. I don't know how deep they are, but that would be something I would do that. I mean, radiation washes away in the ocean, right? Besides, I mean, what are the chances I'm going to have kids anyway? Let's go dive on a radioactive battleship. What the hell? John Who was involved in the Fourth Reich Richter basically just as a scientist. No, I don't think he would. No, but you also have to remember that, in my estimation, the EU is the Fourth Reich, and that was for politicians and bankers to create. I think there's a third group of people we don't know who inherited the power and the wealth and the patents, a lot of what the Third Reich has funneled out. I still think there's part of them that are in existence. Maybe a lot of them are families of the people who were there. You certainly have to be part of the in crowd to be part of that loot and that future. And I don't know what they're doing, but I think they've been doing things behind the scenes forever, which would also have to necessitate them being allied with intelligence agencies around the world to keep everybody off their back. That is my thought. All right. Does Japan still have nuclear radiation in the air, Isabel? No. I mean, you can still go live in Nagasaki and
Hiroshima.
Thank you. What the hell's wrong with me today? I really need to sleep more. People live there. They've been cleaned up. You probably have a little bit more residual radiation around some of the buildings, but no, you're fine to live there. You're fine to go there. Again, radiation, and that's the thing. You can live in Hiroshima and Nagasaki now because there's no residual radiation. The tests the Germans did were smaller, which makes it almost impossible to find anything. Except there's some ways that there's things you could find in the ground with lab testing, possibly, not being a nuclear scientist, that would give an indication that something had altered the composition from something like that. Like a bomb test, and that's why I have soil samples. Do you think they found all the money that Himmler? No, I don't think they found Himmler's money. I don't think they found Hitler's money at all. I thought I just missed somebody looks like question. I hate this chat. I don't hate this chat. I don't hate the chat, but I hate the scroll bar that's driving me crazy when I get up and down. Hey, Angie, what did I miss? I used to travel. Yes. Also follow the money. As it does Princess Bilderberg. Yeah. Oh, sorry, my leg's killing me. High-ranking folks just disappeared. I think that one of the most interesting things I have heard was that Fegelein wasn't killed towards the end of the line, but he was the one sent out with documents and paperwork. And if he was officially told killed, nobody would look for him. Just like with Kamala. Kamala was dead, so nobody looked for him, right? It works. But Fegelein, I think, is interesting. Because I always thought there was something fishy about the Fegelein story. Why would Hitler have him killed for... Well, he was found in a hotel room, civilian clothes with a bunch of money and I think a woman.
Yeah,
I really don't think that was a priority for Hitler right now, to have somebody that was that close to him for that long, married to his... basically, they're related.
The difference between the Kammler and Fegelein, though, is that Kammler left a paper trail, and he was definitely here in the U.S., at least in New York and California.
But Fegelein, he went to South America with the papers and the money and the paperwork, and that makes sense. And I don't think anybody ever looked for him. Did anybody ever find the body of Fegelein? You stop my... I think Müller, he went with, well, according to, then Müller went with Fegelein and Bormann to South America. And now I have read the supposed interviews with Gestapo Müller that was supposedly have been turned into a book in the early 50s, I think. Said in Switzerland he was interviewed. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it because nobody knows what happened to Müller. This book claimed that he survived and he did an interview. That was the base of this book. So the book is written based on what Müller said to this guy. It wasn't Müller who wrote it. Already here I have massive problems, especially because if you're going to do something like that, I really want to see a picture of you sitting next to Müller at the time. There's no provenance, there's no proof that the Müller books or interviews are truthful or are real. And honestly, I read the first couple of chapters and then I threw it out because I just like, no, this doesn't ring well. So no one knows what happened to him. A lot of people say he went to the Russians. I think he disappeared off to South America with everybody else. And the Russians go.
No, I would say I'm still on the fence with the whole Bormann thing. I'm not saying that they ever found his body or anything else like that, because we all know that the evidence that they claim shows where he was. That's bullshit. Anybody can search that out and find out otherwise. The fact that they were pushing that out is insane. But I'm not 100% sold that he ever made it out. I think he was actually killed outright. He just fell unknown.
Bormann?
Yeah, I think Bormann got smoked. I think on his way out, along with like several of the other staff from the Führer bunker and everything else like that, were gunned down by the Russians, and he just fell unknown. Just another dead soldier.
My problem with that story have always been, well, the Russians saw a Freiheitenstorch take off with two men that fits Bormann and Müller's description. That was heavily laden, that took off. Schmerz teams have observed that. So there would have been a way out. But my thought with Bormann is he's cold and calculated, and he collected so much wealth and so much money. For him to miscalculate the situation to the degree where he can't get out and get caught up in the fighting.
He stayed too long.
I mean, even Hitler wouldn't want him to die because he would need him to go out and carry on his last orders and legacy. So it can swing both ways. I mean, yeah, we can also, like, the narrative it could be correct, but I think Bormann made it. I've been promised that they'll be his body, so I'll let you know.
Yeah, but just like a lot of the Third Reich, in specifics, Hitler himself, his vanity. Okay, he wouldn't have went into hiding, and there would have been absolutely no trace of him ever since. His ass popped up just like several others have. They're like, hey, look, I'm here, and then boom, they go somewhere else. That never happened, which leads me to believe that he's definitely dead, because he craved that. He needed that. That was the only way he was going to be able to live.
Without being able to affect events, that's why I said it doesn't really matter if Hitler lived or not, because he did not affect any world events after the war at any point in time either. But Dude has a point about Bormann. Nobody liked Bormann. Everybody hated him. For somebody to have put a hole in him, I wouldn't actually put past anybody. But for him I still have a problem with him being caught up in Berlin. But for somebody to get rid of him as a last act of FU, I could totally see that, because he was not liked by anybody. But there's a connection between Bormann and Kammler that I don't remember. They also Bormann, Müller, and Kammler, they go way back into the 30s, and I think there might be something. Might have been going on there, especially if they send. Kammler was in Berlin not long before the end, and he met with both Bormann and with Hitler, and I could imagine him being given some papers, some specific orders to go hide things or do things. Part of why he then disappeared.
The only thing about that, Joyce, when you're talking about the check, is it was proven to be an absolute fake. But also, if you're talking about a cold, calculating man, do you think he's really going to sign his own name to a check after he supposedly disappeared?
Yeah, how's that? No. I mean, if Bormann would have been caught by the Russians would have put him on trial at Nuremberg, because he was just as high up as what's his name, Goering. That would have been he would have almost higher ranking.
That's vanity.
The Americans always lorded over the Russians that, hey, we have all the good guys. We have the Reichsmarschall, and the Russians didn't have anybody. If the Russians had Bormann, that would have been a coup for them, and they would have shut up about it. But yeah, it's like the money went somewhere. No, Dad, man. I'm guessing it's late somewhere. But like I said, I have an invitation to go see where Bormann is buried, or part of him, skull and left shoulder exempt. So I'll let you know.
Which, like I said, I don't agree with that. I don't believe that's him at all.
I don't know.
All the research I've ever done on it and everything is when they like I say, he waited too late, and when a bunch of them tried to get out of the area, tried to get out of the Führer bunker and basically play the game called Beat the Russian, they were caught and mowed down, and they were treated like Volkssturm. They were basically just bodies, because at the time, remember, when the Russians got there, they didn't know that was a bunker where they were coming from. So
they also didn't know what toilets were, but that's a different story. Really, if
2000s, yeah.
If Müller had been taken by the Americans, they wouldn't have put him. They might not have put on trial, because Müller knew a lot. Now, he was a large part of intelligence. So here's the thing: Himmler wanted to do a deal. He had information. He thought he could have done a deal with the Americans. Had Himmler met with the Americans instead of the British, Himmler would still have been alive. The second few people around Himmler, well, not today, maybe not past Nuremberg, but he certainly would have been alive long enough to give the Americans what he came to deal with. Müller, similarly, would have been able to bargain himself out of things, because he knew a lot about the Russians, a lot about things. He wasn't really high up on the war crimes list, but he was high up in the hierarchy, and he knew things. So I could see if Müller had gone to the Americans, I would have kept him. But no, we don't need to put him out there. Him we keep, because he can help us with things down the line. And that's when I lost Machine. He couldn't hack it anymore. I'm sure he'll be back. Knights Templar history in my future. Yeah. Like I said, I'm trying to get over to go some of the locations of old battlefields, including those from the Templar Knights. And of course, that would probably necessitate me going to Jerusalem, which is not in the cards right now. Well, let's should we ask this one? Welcome back. You thought you saw Elvis?
Just everything just crashed. Like, it just suddenly just stopped. I think the tube hates me again.
Oh, Dulles, absolutely. And Dulles was in contact with everybody. And he was trying to broker a peace, but it was overruled by Washington. Dulles was setting something up that could have worked, but DC wouldn't have it. Yeah, I mean, Alan Dulles' real papers I would really like to see. Not the stupid book he wrote, but the real papers. Maybe you know. I mean, Knights Templar is fascinating. And we talk about that with Joseph as well, for some reason, coming up in the next couple of weeks, about what they were actually looking for, far more than religion. But I would like to go to the locations before, you know me, I got to go to a place before I start talking about the people. And I always do it ass backwards. I go to the place and then I figure out what happened there when I get home. And then I have to go back to see the place I didn't see that's just opposite the place, because I didn't know it was there, because I didn't read up on it before I went there. That makes sense, right?
Close enough.
Exactly. Sometimes it's interesting to go to a place blindly and see what you see, but on the other hand, it's not really productive. I guess. Oh, I mean, you all saw my episode about what really had to happen to Hitler's gold. Dulles features prominently in that episode.
Yeah, only slightly. I mean, who's kind of like the main character at that point. But
Cromwell and Sullivan, they're mentioned ever so slightly. I mean, Mullah was running security for the Kammerstop, and Bormann ran coverage for Hitler when Geli Raubal killed herself, or, well, died. And Gestapo Müller, he was the police detective in Munich in charge of the case of Geli Raubal's death. So Müller, Hitler, and Bormann did a deal with him to whatever shut that up. So they all go back a while, which is very interesting. Whatever happened to my older M16 ex-con friend?
MI6.
Oh, MI6. Oh, so M16 there. You know what? That's a good point. I should probably check in with him. I haven't heard from him for a while. I haven't checked with see how he's doing out there. I'm guessing the way things are going in England, he may end up being prime minister at some point because everyone else seems to be these days.
Oh, he already locked up. You know that. The thought policeman got him.
And that's what I mean. I mean, the most interesting thing that could happen in England at this point, I guess, would be if Jeremy Clarkson becomes PM.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That would be fantastic. You know,
I mean, it's the better bet than anybody else they've got these days. I mean, I know that they have the third party option, but I don't know if their head is charismatic enough. But then again, Stama was not exactly charismatic. Neither was Theresa May. So, yeah, I don't exactly. I think.
Yeah, there's a brick behind me. We can make that run for prime minister too, because most of the guys were bricks.
I mean, I feel sorry for Theresa May because I generally think she should have stayed and tried something. You know, I think she would have been, well, obviously a far better bet than Stama by a mile.
You're not wrong.
By the way, I will tell you, I will make a recommendation to you all. Podcast of the Lotus Eaters on YouTube. I would subscribe and listen. I have never chatted with them. We're not friends. I don't know any of them, but I love to watch their breakdowns of what's happening around the world and in Europe and their take on policies and politics both here and there. Just saying, it's a very good show. Don't know if I could contribute with them because what they do is contemporary, but they have some really good ideas and some good information shows. Keeps me a little bit up to breast of what's going on around Europe, by the way. Just throwing that out there. It's a very strange name. I don't know why they picked it. One day I'll ask them. Maybe if I ever talk to them. So what else we got? Besides cold. Cold.
Yeah, the cold. Let's not talk about the cold. I'm in Illinois, okay?
Fine. Wrecked my car last week.
Yeah, I know. You told me you decided to hit a homeless man in a box.
Well, don't know, but certainly there was a box, packing peanuts, and very heavy toaster, I guess.
Did you go get the duct tape and put the bumper back on?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, Africa doesn't really exist because it's not here. You know how that goes. I'm just responding to the Blue Lotus. Oh, that's what that. Oh, okay. All right, William. You take care of yourself. I will see you all. I'll see you all next weekend. Those of you who are leaving, I guess we should too. I'll go back to work or whatever it is I'm doing here. I need to edit something for next. What am I doing for next week? If I can't put together a 10-hour Riese episode, what am I going to do? What should we do? What have I got?
Good question. What do we have on the list?
I'm not going to be able to make the big star fort because that's just way too much. I got some really secret Italian forts, World War II, that turned into Cold War forts hiding in mountains. That was really interesting. I got some Alpine forts. That might be. Well, wait a minute. I got the tunnel system for the Messerschmitt tunnel. The location that I promised Tom to finish. That's what I did to do. And then we got the episode with Igor and Joseph. I feel it. I mean, I feel I should do something else for Thanksgiving, but I mean, something Wednesday or something Friday, or I mean, it's not Thanksgiving in Europe, so they don't care, but it's not their fault, so they should have some entertainment over this. So I think it's going to be a double weekend. We're all shopping on Friday. I'm not. I'm working, but aren't normal people shopping on Friday?
No, it's the not so normal people that usually go shopping on that Friday. Yeah, we're not going to get into the whole Black Friday thing. No, sir.
I mean, I'm being a heretic. I'm not making turkey. Turkey's boring. I can't do it. I got to make something interesting.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know.
We can do turducken.
Turducken. Ooh, I did that last Christmas. You have any idea how hard it is to gut a pig and steak a lamb inside with a turkey and a chicken inside and then make it fit in your oven?
But that's why we have a rotisserie.
I found a place that will actually send me a turducken. I'm making legs of lamb and meatloaf and Danish meatballs, roasted potatoes and sugar roasted potatoes and sauce, and my grandmother's dessert. One of the guests ordered to bring a couple of salads, another one was bringing hors d'oeuvres, and I still feel I should do something else. I just don't know what. I feel I feel three different types of dead animal is just not enough. I feel there should be 4. Should I just do a ham as well? I can do it. Will that make you happy if I did ham?
We're meat eaters. Yes, we have to have plenty of meat.
I mean, turkey is just so damn boring.
Well, I would say get a smoker and put it on your balcony, but somebody'd walk by and take it. So, I
have a pot, and you stick pork in there with a bunch of things and just let it sit for a couple of days. Is awesome. Don't do it with a roast, but crock pot and pork, it disintegrates really nice.
Oh yes, makes it really nice and soft. That's the best part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing around with marinades right now. I got a couple of New York steaks in marinade. I always preferred ribeyes, but New York was on sale. So, and in California, when meat's on sale, you just buy it because nothing's on sale here anymore. I love wild boar, Jeffrey. I love wild boar with Waldorf salad, game salad, roasted potatoes is awesome. I just can't really find any around here, and if there's any wild boars running around here, the homeless people will kill them and eat them.
Yeah.
So we had one of the guys at the bike shop a couple of years ago. He was a hunter. And he would actually hunt with a bow and arrow or a knife and stuff. And he went out somewhere in the small villages, and he was set up camp, and something was rustling in the woods near his camp. He came a boar, and he fucking grabbed his knife, and he killed the damn thing with his knife. And all right, cool. So he killed this big ass pig, tossed him back to the pickup truck, and then a few weeks later, he read in the local news from this town that the beloved town pig has gone missing.
He ate it.
He thought it was a wild boar. He killed the town pig. Oopsie. I mean,
that's ruthless killing the town mascot, man. Come on.
Came right at him, the whole thing. Hunt from a helicopter. Well, it's probably safer to hunt boar with a helicopter because they get really pissy. You saw the episode I did from the train tunnels, from Hitler's train tunnel. So we're standing out. There's a train tunnel, and then there's a bunker complex. You go in the tunnel under it. You get out of that bunker complex. There's woods everywhere, dense woods everywhere. And there's a couple of dudes just standing outside and looking at something. And I said hi to him inside, so I walk over. What are you looking? Oh, look at that cute little wild boar piglet there. And I looked and like, okay, gentlemen, we are now going inside the bunker. Now, before Mummy Wild Boar shows up and kills you all.
Yes.
Like, there's little wild boar piglets. And they're like, no, that's not a good thing. Like, oh, but we should go take pictures. No, we should absolutely not do anything to it. Just get your ass in here because I'm not going to save your ass with my penknife when mommy shows.
My brother, we were driving through Georgia, and first time he'd ever seen a wild boar cross right in our path in the dark. What happened next was listening to my brother scream his head off as I jumped out of the vehicle chasing after this thing, trying to get a picture of it. He's like, those things kill people, right? And I was like, I'm loaded up and I'm chasing after it through the woods in the middle of Georgia. He's like, you idiot.
Just like, yeah, no. It's like maybe a 45. We're not doing the Viking thing. And improve yourself by killing a bear with a knife. Like, no, that's fine.
A hollow point or two, yes.
Yeah. When my dog was a puppy, we were in a former East German forest, and we were out for a walk, and my dog saw something, sniffing something, and right in front of us, 2 wild boar jumps up and run the other way. But they were, 10 yards from us. And this puppy spooked him, and I'm like, holy crap. If they decide to run the other way, they would have run us over. I'm like, all right, we're not going there again. I didn't even know there was wild boar in that part of Germany. But yeah, they are.
I had that argument actually with one of our U.S. senators because, he's one of those ones that pushes the gun control. Nobody needs this and that push. And I cornered him face to face. And he's like, well, you don't need more than 10 rounds. Like, have you ever been boar hunting? And he just looked at me and I was like, I dumped 15 rounds directly into the face of one and it still kept coming. Don't tell me I don't need them.
Yeah. We're absolutely not. Absolutely not doing that.
That was wild. I mean, I mag dumped on that thing and it was still, it finally just dropped over, but I was like, it's still coming. And we counted. Because they went in and they didn't go anywhere else. We actually counted when we opened this thing up. There was 15 rounds in it.
And I'm not really sure what, you get it right in the head between the eyes. Okay. But he's not going to stop because you shoot him anywhere else, really.
No, and that was the thing is, because he came from the side. He came, he ran past us. And that was the first. Bop, 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 and then it's like, oh, hell no. It turned around like, oh, you shot at me, sir? And it come back the other direction, and the rest of them went just right directly in the face. I mean, I've just peppered his face. But I don't know if it was I don't know when the two or three hit him right between the eyes. But like I said, it was still moving. And I mean, it finally just fell over and kind of kicked out.
See you guys next week. All right.
No, Ed. The guy next to me had a 308, and he shot one, and it took several rounds.
Yeah, that's. And I keep thinking, if I'm with somebody who's hunting, I always have to remember to replace my hollow points with full metal jackets.
Well, I was running 68 grain. So, pretty damn good. These things usually they'll explode a watermelon. They're nasty rounds, and that thing just ate them. Just kept going for it. But like I said, the guy next to me, he was running an AR-10. He was running a 308, and he dumped about 8 rounds in the one before it dropped. And I mean, he hit it directly in the chest.
I'm still how many years out from zeroing in my AR-10 yet? I'm looking for wild boar chops on Amazon. I don't know why.
You'll probably find them.
Probably. Well, there we go. Oh, so since we probably must at this point in time have bored everybody to death. Now, I don't want to shoot it with a 50 because you want something left to eat. You want something left of it. Well, 50 cal Desert Eagle. And I'm still, one day I might buy my buddy's 50 cal Desert Eagle just because I want to say I have one, because I have no reason to own it whatsoever on this planet. It's the most ridiculously stupid gun in the world. I'll put it in the movie and I'll be happy.
The 50 cal comment just reminds me of the accidental shooting of Peter Cottontail with a Nagant 9130. we were out at the range, and we had old spray paint cans and stuff like that we had set up out there on a wire spool. And I went out there. I was like, we're out of paint cans, so I slapped a paper target on the side of this thing, and we're shooting at it. And my friend just stops and looks at me and goes, "Did we have another paint can out there?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There was a mist behind the roll." We go out there, and poor Peter Cottontail, I guess, decided to take refuge behind it and got shot and blown in half. He was a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, "Sorry, dude."
I mean, 50 will do some real damage. So listen, since we must by now have probably bored everybody to death, I'm just going to ask you what you think about a political question. Like I said, if we haven't lost everybody by now, we will now.
Oh, boy.
My leg hurts. Anyway, it really bothers me that we're stuck with Thune and McConnell's guy in the Senate as a head of the Senate. It bothers the living crap out of me that we now have people on our side who will probably be working against the president in implementing the agenda he was elected for. And I don't exactly know how to overcome that. Also in confirmations.
Yeah, but
can't McConnell and his people just go away and realize their time is out?
You would hope so, but I don't see that happening.
That's what I was thinking. But they need to go away. And I can't believe that we got that much, and then we stuck with a obstinate Senate again.
Yeah, House, Senate, all three branches of government, and we still got a shit sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that's going to be a problem, or do you think he can? There's a way around it. Can he do the pro temp appointments?
To a certain extent, he does have that. They will have that power, but I'm not sure how they would actually get away with it without causing a major rift.
Well, they'll cause a rift.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know. I mean, McConnell is like, go away. They wrecked so much, and it's just, I just can't believe that we got this far, and then we have to deal with that crap. But I hope he has a plan. I hope there's a plan behind it. Also, if they are McConnell clones, there might be enough dirt on them.
Yeah, but McConnell shouldn't. For all the talk about cognitive decline of Biden and stuff like that, look at McConnell.
He's still there.
He's not. He checks out, and when he checks out, I mean, he completely shuts down, and he looks terrified. He doesn't know where he's at. He has.
Senate?
Yeah, he has no reason to still be in office, absolutely at all. He's a detriment.
But he wasn't reelected as a senator, was he? He's gone, right?
Oh, not yet. He's not.
Well, no, but he will be in January. He didn't run for reelection, did he? This is how much I paid attention. Anyway, hoping for the better. Oh, midterms are terrifying. Well, maybe. Yeah, exactly. His old lady's a spy. I mean, his McConnell's wife is a Chinese millionaire. You're not a millionaire in China unless you're in good terms with.
Well, hell, I mean, you've still got Mr. Fartgate there. Swalwell is still on the House Intelligence Committee. Yeah, and he was bang and fang.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, it's you can't beat this with a stick.
The most compromised man on the planet is still in charge. That's.
Was it Pelosi or was Stryver for 10 years? That was a spy, or was that Feinstein's?
Feinstein.
Well, she is no more. So, and we still have Schiff. I mean, for the love of God. And again, like
guy with the most punchable face in Congress. Yes.
It's like, well, now we have to be nice to each other. Why?
Yeah, you were a shitbag for.
Yeah.
Sorry. I did it. It's my fault.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll see what we'll see. I'm going to try to set up a little bit of a YouTube store. I don't like any of the options they give, but I'm going to try one to see how it works. basically, I'm going to try the free one.
I was like, you better put a few things up there after you made me go through and do all that.
I'm just going to try to do a couple of Lost Battlefield cups and shirts, and by linking it and see how that goes. And then if anybody's interested in Lost Battlefield wear, then we will escalate. Robert's doing okay. He's still not having any surgeries lately, by the way.
Finally.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he is eventually. And so there's that. But anyway, it was good to see you again. And everybody else. You lost weight, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Are you starving or just getting back in shape?
Bit of both.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's the honest answer. It's a bit of both.
We're in America. There's for modern pharmaceuticals for everything. Hoodie. Okay. I will see what they have. I'm a little worried about. I love the clothing. The clothing we had in the old shop because it was really good quality. So I don't know what we're gonna get, but I'm gonna try to see, and I'm gonna order a couple to see if it looks nice, and put it up for sale before Christmas. And also the book. The book. Yes, I'm probably just gonna have to fork out some money I don't have and just rock and roll it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, we'll see. Unless Dave Childress is interested, then I'm probably just gonna put it out. But anyway, I will see you later. I will see everybody later. And happy Thanksgiving to all. And we'll see what I'll come up with for Thanksgiving to all.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for joining us. Without you guys, this wouldn't even. Well, we'd probably still be talking to each other, but you guys are
especially those of you guys signed up with Patreon and for Lost Battlefields members. I know I don't give you nearly enough of what you should be getting for that, but if it wasn't for you, but now that YouTube is as unreliable as an economic partner as anything can be, it's pretty much all on you guys.
Yep.
Next year will be better, right?
That's our goal.
Right.